Welcome back. You're here with us on Times Now, and we are now going to bring to you Times Now super exclusive news break. Times Now super explosive Kong Fund Gate expose sets the agenda again. A day after exposing sensational Congress China donation gate, Times Now has now unearthed a new angle in this investigation. Latest evidence suggests following donation and MOU signing, Congress was in a hurry to close the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership deal. Yes, remember, RCEP negotiations began closely after Rajiv Trust endorsed the free trade agreement. In fact, back in 2010, negotiations on RCEP began and the UPA signed this file in 2011, nearly 5 years ahead of the deadline. Preferential treatment that was being given, it stands exposed, and Times Now has been bringing to you all angles on this story. Megha, Madhav, Samya joining us on the broadcast for more on this. Megha, to you first. Times Now has more proof that nails the truth. Megha, can you hear me?
Repeat the question. I'm very sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
Could you give us more details, the evidence that we have? Okay, Megha, stay on with us. Let me first go across to my colleague Pranesh, who is joining us live as well. Pranesh, over to you. What more details do we have?
We'll go to Megha, Madhav and all the others in just a bit. Let me put this story in perspective. This is a huge expose and this is like a fraud on Bharat. What we are bringing to you are some documents, internal government documents that shows the alacrity with which the Congress moved to close the RCEP deal. Hina, just like you mentioned, the deadline was 5-6 years away. The negotiations began in 2010. I have the documents. We'll put them here on the big screen. The RCEP negotiations begins in 2010. Anand Sharma, who was then a minister in the UPA, somebody very close to the Gandhi family, was in such a hurry that he disregarded all the concerns noted on the file by the senior bureaucrats of the government. And in 2011, what we see is that Commerce Minister Anand Sharma signed off on that deal. Deadline, like you said, was 2016, but the UPA closed the deal. Now, we have to look at the sequence of events. What is that? In 2005-2007, the Communist Party donates to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. In 2008, Rahul Gandhi and Congress sign an MOU with the Communist Party. In 2010, Hina, the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation endorses free trade with China. I will come to details of this document, and in 2011, the UPA jumps the gun, so to say, to close the RCEP deal. What's behind this? Now, let's read from the extract. I was telling you how all the concerns that were on the file were disregarded. Extract 1, Commerce Ministry Note 2006. Look what it says. It is logical to conclude regional trade agreement with China. And see here, point number 29, in light of our Look East policy as well as integration with SAFTA and the ASEAN economy, as well as the fact that we are negotiating for trade and investment agreement with Korea and Japan, it is logical to conclude an RTA with China. Let's go to the next point. That is extract number 2. And here you have this portion that we've highlighted is Anand Sharma's, then Commerce Minister, his signature here. This says, India agreed to join RCEP negotiations. Anand Sharma signed the file 24th October 2012, date and sign on paper. Let's go to the next set of documents that tell us what were the problem areas. The problem areas were as follows. The Department of Economic Affairs note said, and I'm quoting from the note, huge trade deficit with China and concerns that FTA would further widen the gap. It can't get any clearer than this. You have the Trade and Economic Relation Committee putting it out on paper that TERC, which was headed by Prime Minister, if I'm not wrong, in its 19th meeting on November 2, 2012, concluded that staying out of RCEP wasn't practical. So this happened in November 2012. But we'll have to go back in 2012. Except for China, India has FTAs or is negotiating one with all ASEAN partners. And then page number 4, and we have that, this is that. That's right. This is extract 4, Department of Economic Affairs note. It says huge trade deficit with China and concerns that FTA, a free trade agreement, would further widen this gap. We are not saying this. It was put on the paper by this committee that was overseeing the negotiations. Huge trade deficit with China and concerns and FTA would further widen the gap and put domestic industry under pressure. Was the Congress party putting dragon over domestic interest? That's the question. The Congress party must come out with a clarity and explain what was the alacrity. Why were they in such a hurry to close this deal with China?
In fact, thanks very much for first of all explaining those details of this exclusive news break here on Times Now. And I want to bring in our senior editors and reporters as well to get us their inputs on this big story that we are breaking right at the top of 9 a.m. this Friday morning. Megha, if I can bring you in here, you know, Pranesh has just given out the details of how Congress really betrayed India's interests in a lot of ways to make sure that those dealings which were happening with China vis-a-vis the foundation, Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, would result later on in advantage China, not advantage India.
Well, Preeti, you know, all the documents that Pranesh has put out actually gives the story out. It tells you how way back in 2005 and 6, this dalliance, one would say, of the Congress party started with the People's Republic of China, which later, and then you know, the story that we broke yesterday did talk about how there was a monetary equation existing between the People's Republic of China on one hand and the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation on the other. And today we take the story forward to say how all of that perhaps concluded in the early signing of the RCEP deal, and how India, keeping its own interest on the back burner, perhaps under the leadership of the Congress, since it was the Congress-led government at the center, did everything that they could in their capacity to have helped China in terms of a preferable economic arrangement between India and China. So the documents that he has, and you know, a couple of things that he points out, and the document actually tells you it's strained. You know, when the deadline of signing of the deal is 2016, why would the government be in such a tearing hurry to sign it 4 years in advance? 4 years in advance, close it in 2012. So there are not one but several such glaring, points that come out in these documents. It tells you the story of what might have happened during that time. In fact, now, currently, the people who are there in the government are also pointing it out to us and saying that if one digs deeper, one will figure out how it was the Commerce Ministry back then that was, at every step of the way, perhaps providing maximum encouragement to the imports coming in, that India was importing stuff from China, all the exports from the side of China, how it was being encouraged and, clear advantage being given to China over, of course, Indian interest. That if somebody goes back and, finds out, one will perhaps figure that there were, the kind of steps that were taken by the Commerce Ministry and the government back then seemed as if there were some standing instructions to ensure that China gets the benefit out of it. So all of this put together, the question that beckons here, Preeti, is that what was going on?
Exactly.
What was going on? And then we have been able to dig all of this at a time when everybody is questioning the intent of the Congress, because the Congress is conspicuously silent about China. They can take on Narendra Modi, they can take on the government, they can take on the media, they can take on everybody here in the country, but they would not speak a word about what China is doing. They would not speak one negative word.
That's right, Megha. You're highlighting a very important point, and on that point, I want to go across to Samya Kapoor as well, who tracks the Congress party for us. Samya, in the light of these exposes on Times Now over the last 2 days, has there been any response really from the Congress party? We see so many tweets from Rahul Gandhi and all other senior members of the Congress party clearly jump the minute they get an opportunity to corner the Modi government. That is their job, we understand, but it's also their responsibility to explain to us what really transpired in UPA years. So much so, it seems that there was this great bonding between the Congress leadership at that time and the Chinese administration, that all these deals were happening at a time when there was clearly only an advantage going in favor of China and nothing much to gain really for India.
Well, Preeti, as far as the Congress party is concerned, they have been holding series of press conferences every single day, and I have been attending them for the last couple of months by now, where they are training their guns against the government as far as the Chinese incursions at the northern frontier is concerned that claimed the lives of 20 Jawans on the Indian side. But having said that, as far as the RCEP deal is concerned, it was in November 2019 where we had seen Rahul Gandhi taking a position to say that India must not enter into the RCEP deal. Now, retrospectively, we have to see what exactly happened during the UPA era. It was signed back in the day in 2011, 2012 under the UPA government. What is interesting over here is that to take a position and strategize on the Congress's party position on the RCEP, there was a meeting that was held. In that meeting, the Congress party leaders were divided. But there was one faction that heavily wanted to go ahead and protest against the RCEP deal. There was another faction that was perhaps the part of the UPA government back in the day who did not want the deal to not get through. They took a position saying that the RCEP deal was struck back in the UPA government and the Congress party leaders should stick their guns behind it. That is exactly what happened, and that is the reason why Dr. Manmohan Singh and Anand Sharma were not in the forefront when Congress party was rallying against the government to cancel the RCEP deal and not enter into it. So
this is a very interesting point that you make, Samya. Very important, and we've always suspected this. We've always, in fact, known this. How voices are suppressed in the Congress party. There is no democracy in the Congress party to really, take everyone on board, go with the popular opinion. It's only a few handful people who decide what needs to be done, even if it's a matter of national interest, or in this matter, while talking about a trade deal of massive significance. Shehzad Poonawalla and Ravi Srivastava are also joining me on the broadcast. But before I come to you, gentlemen, I want to bring in our senior editor Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan as well on this discussion. And Madhav, like Samya was pointing out, the connection is almost unmissable, and the BJP is sure to question the then UPA government on this point, that the RCEP negotiations began closely after the Rajiv Trust endorsed FTA. In 2010, those negotiations began, and the UPA signed this deal in 2011 in unprecedented hurry of 4 years before the time would lapse.
Well, absolutely. And in fact, it's not just that aspect, but several such aspects. What about the free trade agreement study by the RGICS, which very clearly, pushes for a free trade agreement between India and China? Who benefits from that is a big question. And why was all of this happening after that agreement was signed between the Chinese Communist Party and, in fact, the Congress Party? That certainly is a very important question, because look at what has happened as far as trade is concerned. The numbers speak for themselves. After peaking at about $65 billion in favor of China about 2 years ago, it's now still a massive trade deficit that we are staring at between India and China of about $50 billion. And despite all of this, there are those who are pushing interests of China very clearly, it seems, by pushing for this free trade agreement. Look at the influence that Chinese companies have in various sectors, whether it is telecom, whether it is electronics, or even several other goods that are imported from China. Very clearly, a massive advantage that China has are the Indian interests completely protected as far as these issues are concerned. And also remember the most important aspect, which is the fact that from the national security perspective, remember the Chinese companies, especially those which have any kind of say, private companies too, where there is a stake as far as the government is concerned, they have to divulge whatever data is concerned for purposes of national security. There is no ifs and buts about it. It's this most stringent national security law that exists in any part of the world, and thereby those companies that are engaged in telecom, data, or any such activity, certainly the national security aspect comes to mind, and thereby serious questions about whether somewhere or the other the national interest was compromised.
We are going to ask those questions. Madhav, stay with me. I want to once again, for the benefit of our viewers, really explain this with the help of the big screen right here. What exactly happened? Dragon over domestic interest, and these are some of the important extracts that Pranesh also read out for us a short while back. I want to once again reiterate how important it is to really understand what transpired. Take a look at extract 1. Commerce Ministry note says that it is logical to conclude a regional trade agreement with China. They have started by saying that it's extremely important to conclude that deal with China back in 2011 itself, when the deadline was supposed to be 4 years later. Take a look at extract 2. Again, this Commerce Ministry file tells us that India agreed to join RCEP negotiations. Anand Sharma signed the file on on which this was in fact finalized. Now, we slowly are helping our viewers understand how this unfolded. Take a look at extract 3 from the note. Except for China, India has FTAs or is negotiating one with all ASEAN partners. India, except for China, has FTAs. Why we don't have it with China? Obviously, we should have, negotiated a deal which was more balanced. But no, the Congress party was not interested in doing that. And this is a clear Department of Economic Affairs note which says that huge trade deficit with China and concerns that FTA would further widen this gap. If we continue to sign this deal, it will further widen the gap between India and China. The trade deficit will only increase. All these warnings are coming for the UPA government of the time, and still the UPA government was in fact in a hurry to go ahead and sign that deal. I want to just take a look at another note of the Department of Economic Affairs. It will put domestic industry under pressure. Now, what more warnings do you really need to not go ahead with a deal when your own domestic industry will be under pressure if you go ahead? Take a look at extract 5. TERC in its 19th meeting on November 2nd, 2012 concluded that staying out of RCEP wasn't practical. Now, Trade and Economic Relations Committee note says that staying out of RCEP wasn't practical. These are contradictory notes. Of course, you would expect that various departments in the government would come out and give their opinion, but the opinion is heavily loaded against signing that deal with China, and still the UPA went ahead. Pranesh is with me from the newsroom. Pranesh, it's very difficult to really understand why, despite all these warnings, the UPA government was in a hurry to go ahead and sign.
You know, a few days ago when Rahul Gandhi had put out that tweet in which he mocked the Prime Minister by using the word surrender, there were many in the Congress who were backing Rahul Gandhi, and obviously so, because he's a senior party leader, somebody from the Gandhi family. So that worship was going on, but what the documents that we've brought out today exposes how that surrender claim has backfired royally on Rahul Gandhi. Will Rahul Gandhi now tweet on the documents that we are putting out? Was this not a surrender? Why did Congress party put Chinese interest over domestic interest? Preeti, you would remember in November last year when Prime Minister refused to sign on RCEP agreement, India walked out of RCEP. PM said, we are putting national interest first. I am not going to compromise the interest of our farmers and domestic industry. That was the sentiment by the BJP. And in 2011, you had the Congress's Commerce Minister Anand Sharma, somebody who's very close to the Gandhis, signing away on that file. And like I said, if you look at the sequence of events, one will have to ask the question, was there some kind of influence because of the donation that the Congress Trust got from China? If not, the Congress must come out and explain the alacrity. And it also reminds me of the commentary which was going on in the press during the UPA years. That said that the UPA government was not treating India's neighbors in a way that would help our country. Was the UPA neglecting countries like Sri Lanka, Maldives, Bhutan also, Nepal, so that China can then go there and do business with them?
It's baffling, Pranesh, to say the least, to understand the fascination that the Congress party seems to have had with China during UPA years. I want to bring in our guest now. And in fact, Mr. Ratan Sharda also is joining us on the broadcast. But Shehzad, let me begin with you. Can you perhaps make sense of what really transpired in those UPA years, despite so many opinions from within the government departments going against that RCEP deal with China? Why would the government go ahead and not think about the interest of its own people and think about the interests of China in this deal?
So first of all, let me congratulate your team for this Friday morning blockbuster. I mean, we're not getting any in the cinema halls, but definitely there's one on Times Now, and there was one yesterday as well, where your editor-in-chief and managing editor, Rahul Shivshankar and Navika Kumar, broke the angle of how Chinese was funding Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Now, it is important to know that the key players of Rajiv Gandhi Foundation were Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra, Manmohan Singh, Chidambaram, who were the same people who were the key people of the government of the day too. UPA chairperson was Sonia Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi had a lot of influence behind the scenes. Mr. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, obviously. Chidambaram was the Finance Minister and the Home Minister at some point. So the point was that there was a clear case of conflict of interest. That happened in 2005. In 2008, a secret deal was signed, which has been finally acknowledged under the pressure of times now by Anand Sharma. But Anand Sharma has not been able to tell people like me who were in the party that if it was a party-to-party deal, why was it never made public to the party people at least? Why was it never shared in the CWC? If it was shared in the CWC, on what date and why was the copy of that? Why is the copy not being made public even today? Therefore, it was a secret deal. And therefore, I would like to just dispel one myth of the Times Now group, that it is not the dragon's interest over domestic interest. It is the Parivar's interest. The Rajiv Gandhi Foundation was a special purpose vehicle of the financial interest of the first
what's your
family,
take on this?
and the Congress
That's
party
well
was
pointed
the
out by
special purpose
Shehzad
vehicle of the
Poonawalla.
political interest
That
of
is
the
well
family.
pointed out. What was the hurry really for the Congress party to go through with the RCEP deal before going through the merits and demerits of it? Secondly, do you also see there is a clear link, it seems, between the Chinese donation to Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and the way the deal was brought about within 1 year of that?
Priti, first of all, I want to know from you that what is the subject on hand today? Is it the Chinese aggression into India? Is it that almost a kind of a war on in the future? Or
Mr. Ravi Srivastava, you and I are both experienced enough not to indulge in this debate game of sorts. You know, we discussed plenty about Chinese aggression or non-aggression at the LAC. Today, at the moment, I want to discuss this matter. Do you have a reply on that?
I knew it, that you will not be...
No, if you knew it, then please don't waste on-air time. It's a very important topic that we are discussing. I want clear-cut answers on clear-cut questions, sir.
Poonawalla can speak for 3 minutes non-stop.
He stuck to the topic.
Me, you will be heckling
Sir,
only.
he stuck to the topic. Please go ahead and give me your reply.
What happened 15 years before? Is it irrelevant today? Why the
So you are
government
saying
could
it's
not
irrelevant
cancel?
if
Why
our
the
domestic
government could
interests are
cancel all
not
those
taken care of by the
contracts
government of the day,
2015 when they
if
came
we
to
are
power?
handing
Why they could not
advantage
do it?
China in
And-
trade
and
matters, in
tell me-
economic matters, it is of no interest to the people of this country. We should not
No,
know
they are.
how we got
They
cheated.
are.
Okay,
But they
I
are
got your
more
reply, sir.
interested in
I got your
getting
reply.
India
Thank you very
doing
much.
on China.
Stay with me. I'll come back to you in just a bit. In fact, Manasvi Thapar is also joining me on the broadcast. But before I come to you, Manasvi Thapar, I want to go across to Ratan Sharda. Ratan Sharda, I mean, look at the attitude. Pehle chori, fir sina jori. What exactly are we dealing with?
Subject of interest. And why?
When you come as a political analyst, you should try to be a little objective.
Everything is in the
आप शांत हो जाइए रवि श्रीवास्तव जी,
Nobody-
औरों को सुनने का पेशेंस रखिए प्लीज. या रतन शारदा जी, go
Nobody is
ahead.
against any. See, I am not at all against interchange of think tanks, exchange of ideas with any country, any group, because that is a normal process by which countries cooperate with each other. My problem is selling your ideas, selling your country covertly by getting donations to a private trust which belongs to a private limited company called Congress I, which is run by a Nehru family, which is not a Nehru, neither a Nehru nor a Gandhi in any sense, neither in spirit or in any kind of values. Now come to think of what he says, 15 साल पुरानी बात. अरे भाई साहब, history is very merciless. We know that what happens 50 years back bites even today. And as far as NGOs are concerned, we know how NGOs world over are being influenced first by the church funds, then the MNC funds, then Islamic countries funds, and finally by people like George Soros and countries like China, where they mold your opinion. See, attack on the border that you talk of today is a overt operation which is visible to us. But the covert operation
Exactly.
by which we sold our
Exactly.
economy,
You cannot
weakened
trust
our
a country
economy,
like China
that is much
not
more
to run
serious,
those
that is
covert
damaging
operations
much
as well.
more than
What we
can
see
easily
on
have
ground
damaged.
is evident, and there is no way that China can hide its treachery at the line of actual control, because our armed forces are there in full numbers and our government is keeping a close watch. But what about those years that we have lost in terms of giving advantage to China? Manasvi Thapar, what's your take on this expose that we are bringing for our viewers on this Friday morning?
See, this expose is very important for us to understand that what was the situation in 2011, 2012, why RCEP was formed, and what was the reason. So I'll just go to the history, which you have just nailed it out on your channel also. See, between November 2nd week, 3rd week, this particular negotiation started, and it is not just between India and China. It is between 16 other nations also, which includes Australia, Brunei, Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea and many other countries. So what happened was from 2012 to 2019, our CEP was there. So it accounted for 45% of the world's population. It accounted to 40% of the world's trade. And in economic...
None of them was neighbor to China. They were far off. We were facing direct.
Ratanji, let me complete, Ratanji, then you can make your point.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, finish your point. Yeah.
$20.3 trillion was the trade amount. So this was a cooperation. It was a regional cooperation between 16 countries. And then in 2019, Prime Minister Modi, according to his policy, thought that we should opt out. So it's a good decision, it's a bad decision, it's an economical decision, it's a policy decision. It does not mean that if we have a decision, it's not a relationship just between India and China. It's a relationship between India and 15 other countries, other regional cooperation countries. Which
that's the point. That is the exact point, Manasvi Thapar. That is the exact point. And I know Ratan Sharda wants to come in here. And Shehzad, I'll come to you after I go to Mr. Ratan Sharda. Sir, what is your reply? When a decision is supposed to be purely economical and policy decision, obviously you will first think about your own country. Why would we see traces of influence on a certain deal which was done for a private organization in terms of donations from China, and then its immediate impact on this deal?
No, the very fact that the Indian government...
I'll tell you one.
Manasvi Thapar, one second. Listen to others. Let me bring in every opinion on board here. Yeah, Ratan Sharda.
The very fact that government officials and people within the party and the government are opposed to these deals shows that it was not a unanimous decision. It was taken by people who are influenced by China, Chinese funds. And you look what is happening to Australia today. It is being threatened. So as long as the countries behave in a typical commercial manner, it's fine. But when that commercial muscle is used to twist your arms on border, on international fora, and threatening them with various consequences which can cripple you, then economic matters become very, very serious. That's what Australia has seen now. That is what Nepal has seen now. That is what every neighboring country of China has seen. We can't close our eyes. We cannot say that these people went blind, totally blind, and closed eyes and signed deals with China as party or as government as party who felt that they are the government. They are dealing with a party which controls the government. There is no separation between Communist Party and China. But we were separate, and we signed a private trust agreement to make money out of this and try to influence the policy.
Shehzad, what's the point that you want to make? Yeah, Shehzad, go ahead.
I'll just sum it up in 10 seconds, and I genuinely, just in 10 seconds, and I want an answer from Ravi ji and from Manasvi. Just 10 seconds and one question. The question that I'm trying to ask is that the money was put in a private trust, a secret deal was signed. Is that secret deal the reason why India's interests back then were compromised, economic interests, and today the territorial integrity is being sought to be compromised, and the Congress is attacking the government and India and the Sena, not the Chinese? Is that the reason why the Congress is so eloquently silent on the Chinese when they are trying to compromise attempting to compromise our territorial integrity? They compromise our economic interests. Today they are with the Chinese when the Chinese are trying to do aggression against us. They are saying surrender to the army. They are saying the army surrendered. But clearly what Times Now has shown is that the then government surrendered its economic interest, the country's interest, in front of China. So was the deal behind it? If so, make the deal public, sir. That's all we ask.
Okay, Mr. Ravi Srivastav, go ahead. Do you have a pointed answer this time around? The layers of our current actions, the layers of our current actions are actually there in the background. They are on the basis of your past conduct. Do you see any connection, sir? The way Congress party is responding today to what has happened in the past during their rule?
Congress never compromised on the interests of India, and as of now, our Prime Minister as a PM went 5 times to China, 4 times as a PM, and all delegations from BJP were going to China, and you have shown us statistics of 17-18 onwards. I want to see statistics between 13 and 17-18. Why the trade gap galloped between that time?
Why don't you make the deal public?
Ravi Srivastav ji, you are tying yourself up in knots. With these questions, it will be difficult for you to come out and give a clear-cut reply, Mr. Ravi Srivastav. Okay, before I take a break, I want to give final 30 seconds to Manasvi Thapar. Let me listen to him as well. I understood.
Video conferencing today, madam.
Sure, I understood. Manasvi Thapar.
I'll tell you, when Modi ji came for the first time, December, from 1st December to 5th December, RCEP summit was held in India, and it was widely spread across by the Ministry of Commerce to educate the people of the business community about the RCEP goals. So when they liked it, they wanted to spread it and they wanted to nail it that like they own RCEP. But when they had an issue with the economic policy in 2019, they went off. And now when we come to the funding part, the funding, it is not funding, it is donation. And donation happened in 2005, 6, 2006,
but
7
why,
by the embassy.
But why do you
of the
fail to
Republic of
understand the
China.
point here? I don't understand, Manasvi Thapar, Ravi Srivastava. The basic
These are
point of
two
debate on
different-
this show is that
I just want
was
to make
Congress
a
party in a
clarity.
hurry
These
to
are two
sign
different
a deal without understanding the
There was no
merits
hurry.
and demerits of it, without understanding the economic impact of it on Bharat ki Janata? What was that hurry? I'm going to discuss this topic further. I have to take a very quick break here, requesting all of you gentlemen to stay with me on the broadcast. We'll be back in just a bit. Good morning. You're with us on Morning News Hour after your channel's explosive news break yesterday establishing the China Congress donation gate. Today, your channel is establishing another angle to this investigation where we are trying to show you through the help of some documents which are out in public domain that after getting the donation for Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and signing some MOUs, the Congress party and the UPA government was in unimaginable hurry to sign the RCEP deal with China against the advice of various departments of the Congress. Some of the extracts of those advisories are going to be here in these graphics for you. Let me begin with extract number 1, and this is actually the concluding part, wherein the Commerce Ministry note, which was under Anand Sharma of the Congress party at that time, says that it is logical to conclude regional trade agreement with China. Now, the Commerce Ministry has decided that it's logical to conclude the deal. However, there were others who were warning against it. Take a look at this Commerce Ministry file. Extract number 2, India agreed to join RCEP negotiations. Anand Sharma signed the file on. Now, these deals have been signed by Anand Sharma. I'm going to now switch over to extract number 3 and tell you exactly where the warnings were coming from. Take a look at this. Except for China, India has FTAs or is negotiating one with all ASEAN partners. Then why did we not emphasize on such a balanced deal with China? What was the hurry? Take a look at another extract. Now, this is from Department of Economic Affairs note. It says that there is huge trade deficit with China and concerns that FTA in fact would be disbalanced, and further it says it will put domestic industry under pressure. These are the warnings from the Department of Economic Affairs note, which were not in fact paid attention to by the Commerce Ministry headed by Anand Sharma at that time. Let's move on now. There is another extract that we can perhaps take a look at. This is about Trade and Economic Relations Committee note. It says that TERC in its 19th meeting on November 2nd, 2012 concluded that staying out of RCEP wasn't practical. Why was it not practical if you had so many warning signs? India needs to remain engaged actively. Okay, India needs to remain actively with China, but do you think that should happen at the cost of our own interests, giving advantage to China? Let me go across, in fact, to our reporters who are tracking inputs on the story for us. First up, we have our senior editor, Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan, who is joining me. Samya is tracking all the inputs on the story from the Congress party, which has remained mum even after our explosive investigation that happened yesterday. They have not given any response to it. Senior editor Megha Prasad is also with me on the broadcast, along with our guests who are discussing this matter further with us here on this edition of Morning News Hour. I want to begin with you, Madhav. Just take a look at these extracts that I just read out for our viewers. It clearly sets the tone that the UPA government, led by the Congress back in 2011-2010, was in a hurry really to sign this RCEP deal with China, despite advice which was given to the contrary.
Well, yes, there's a lot of internal conflict within the Congress party itself as far as RCEP is concerned, because having taken a public position to push RCEP, as Samya was telling us, there was a section within the Congress that really wanted it to go through. But really, of course, for political purposes, now during the NDA regime, we have seen the UPA come out, and Congress party in particular come out and oppose it, which means that those who were pushing for the RCEP had to beat a hasty retreat, were absolutely silent on the position that they had taken during the UPA years. But be that as it may, I just want to draw your attention to the most important aspect that we're discussing today, Preeti. And remember this, we're talking about the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund also contributing to what is the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Now, this raises massive questions of propriety. What is the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund supposed to do? This is a relief fund that is supposed to come into action to give succor to those who are victims of some kind of natural disasters or unforeseen accidents or events which lead to tragic situations in the lives of those individuals, or can also be used for giving relief or part payment of those who have massive medical expenditure and relief to them. The fact is that the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund is not able to, contribute to everyone's relief as far as medical care is concerned.
So there are in fact two important parts of this investigation. One was brought out by your channel yesterday. We did put out those difficult questions to the Congress party. Obviously, there has been no reply. And today is the other part of the investigation. And Samya, I believe even so far, there has been zero response from the Congress party. Is there anyone who would own up and tell us exactly why was the government in a hurry to sign this deal with China?
Well, Preeti, the position that the Congress party is taking is very clear. They are saying that digging into the past and once again invoking issues that are pertaining to 15 years prior to what exactly is happening is only a diversionary tactics on the part of the present government to shirk its responsibility and answerability against the questions that are being posed by the Congress party, which are uncomfortable for the government because they seem to have almost conceded to the Chinese position. The Congress party is saying there is a live situation brewing on the borders. And why is there a need to talk about something that happened 15 years ago? However, that may not entirely be a very clarificatory statement, but the Congress party maintains it to be a case where the BJP government is trying to hide behind these issues. Having said that, in October 2019, that was last year, there was a meeting that was held by the senior top brass of the Congress party where they were taking a position and strategize as to what should the Congress party do as far as the RCEP is concerned. There was a section of the senior brass of the Congress party that wanted the Congress party to go ahead vehemently and register their protest against signing of the RCEP deal. But there were a few who were definitely from the UPA government's regime, where they were the cabinet ministers and perhaps instrumental in signing the RCEP deal back in the day that we are today talking about. They were definitely against the RCEP deal not getting through. They decided they are not going to be the flag bearers of the Congress party and step on the forefront. And they did
so
have
as members of opposition, also the Congress party was divided in two camps. They could not come out with a comprehensive strategy that they should be adopting when it comes to RCEP negotiations. Even last year in October that you are pointing out, Samya. Let me go back to Megha Prasad for more on this. Megha, what is important to understand here is that one, there was unprecedented hurry when the UPA was in power to go through with this deal. There were advisories within from various departments of the government which were suggesting that it will make the trade deficit even the gap will widen. It is not favorable to India entirely, and at every point in time the government of the day should be thinking about our own interests other than the interests of a neighbor wherein we anyway do not have much of trust between the two countries. So why agree with the terms that would benefit them?
So the story that is, turning out to sort of take shape after the documents that we have brought, Preeti, is that perhaps it looks to us that the government that was elected to rule India was working in the interest of another country and not in the interest of its own country. And then, of course, that will beg a lot of questions to why this was happening. And I am going to, as a journalist who perused through documents, I just want to take you through one document that has caught, I think, everybody's attention here in the story, and the document is of the Department of Economic Affairs. It's a note from the Department of Economic Affairs which says in the year 2012, which is when Mr. Anand Sharma seemed to be in extreme hurry to sign the RCEP deal. Now, this note says huge trade deficit with China and concerns that FTA would further widen this gap. It will put domestic industry under pressure. Now, when you have such an observation which is put out in black and white by the Department of Economic Affairs. That should be, you should be going by the suggestions and advices of the department when it comes to trade and commerce with another country. Why did you overlook something as serious as this? Why were you in a hurry to go in perhaps and after beyond 2012, and you look at the numbers and the trade deficit that has increased between India and China, and how this arrangement between India and China has been extremely favorable to China while India has taken a hit. Why did you do this? These are very, very pertinent questions, and if looked into, if the government of the day today decides to look into it, this will be serious trouble for the Congress, because many a times we have seen, these are the leads that one gets into huge mismanagements that might have happened by the government back then when they were in power. So is this going to be one reason why this government, the present BJP government, might want to dig deeper and understand what was going on? We don't know, but this gives you enough a reason to want to find out what happened there.
That's right. Thanks very much for, in fact, explaining that comprehensively, Megha, and putting things in perspective. That's extremely important. And before I get accused by Mr. Ravi Srivastava of not giving him enough time, I want to begin with him only. Mr. Ravi Srivastava, what Megha said just now, this is a democracy. One government goes, it passes on its deals, its relations with other countries to the next government that comes in. Now, for the current government to take a call on RCEP and other trade deals with China, isn't it important for us to understand what transpired in UPA years? Now, what transpired in UPA years is that despite the advice of the Department of Economic Affairs, the Commerce Ministry led by Anand Sharma went ahead and signed those RCEP negotiations, which clearly says that except for China, India has FTAs or is negotiating one with all ASEAN partners. Now, why give so much advantage to China is beyond my understanding. Pointed question, help me understand this.
I have a pointed reply to your pointed question, Preeti. April 2020, I am talking 2 months before. Till that time, which BJP leader said that China is our enemy? Simple question, anybody of the BJP or RSS representative can reply to it. Just tell me, till April 20, who said that China is enemy country? We do not want to have the economic ties with China. We do not want to have any kind of a business with China. We do not support them. Any statement, single statement, just show it to him.
No, you do not label countries as enemy country, you label countries as your competition, and you want to have level playing field in a competition.
Everything is in the public domain.
Come on, Ravi Srivastava. Okay, Shehzad, can you reply to him? Yeah, go ahead, Shehzad.
I'll try my best. Ravi ji, here is the problem. The problem is that there is an allegation of an arrangement between a family and the Chinese government, and it is an arrangement that is covert. We don't know the details of it. Now, Times Now has shown that there was a monetary arrangement also. And now there has been a constant silence on what China has been doing. There has been a surrender of economic interests. All we are saying, Mr. Ravi Srivastava, you ask your questions of the BJP, but why don't you make this deal public so that we can all read it? Megha Prasad can read it, Preeti can read it, Pranesh can read it, and we can then say that no, this deal is absolutely benign, there's nothing to hide. But the fact that they're hiding, sir, please 1 second, don't get hyper. Sir, my
Okay, Ravi Srivastava, सुन लीजिए ना, सुन लीजिए, आपको सुनने में इतनी तकलीफ क्यों होती है? आप सवाल पूछते हैं, फिर आपको जवाब भी देना होता है. आप एक बार सुन लीजिए. Sir, I don't have much time. Let me bring in everyone. Quickly, Shehzad, finish your point. I have to take a quick break here.
Why are you shouting? Don't get so aggressive in the morning.
Shehzad, finish your point.
Just one line. मानसवी एंड रवि श्रीवास्तव मानसवी एंड रवि श्रीवास्तव कुछ छिपाने को नहीं है तो डील को पब्लिक करो. द फैक्ट दैट यू आर हाइडिंग दैट डील ऑफ 2008 shows that you have some clauses in it where you surrendered the territorial and other interests of India for the sake of the family.
Okay.
And therefore this deal is anti-national, and those who signed that deal
I know
were
both
against
Mr.
India's
Ratan
interests.
Sharda and Manasvi Thapar want to come in on the discussion, but I'm
Supreme Court
completely
mein hai,
pressed for time. I have to take a quick break here. We'll be back on this topic in just a bit. Do stay with me, gentlemen. You're with us on Times Now, and we are getting you our super explosive news break, which is unearthing a new angle to the explosive news break that your channel brought yesterday, establishing Congress-China donation gate. Now, take a look at these graphics on your screens, where we are clearly establishing a pattern that after the donation came to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, an MOU was also signed. RCEP Pact was quick to come into being, and in fact the UPA government, it seems, was in a major hurry to sign it at least 5 years before the deadline could be met. In 2005-2007, between that period, Communist Party donated to Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. In 2008, Rahul and Congress signed MOU with Communist Party. In 2010, Rajiv Foundation endorses free trade with China, and finally in 2011, UPA jumps into RCEP bandwagon despite pitfalls, despite warnings which were given to it. Let me quickly go back to our guests who are with me on the broadcast. I have only 2 minutes to summarize this debate. I want to come to you, Manasvi Thapar, for your quick points on what we've been highlighting so far. You made important points on how such decisions should be economically driven and should be policy decisions. But it seems that that was certainly not the case. How do you plan to defend the decision taken at that time?
So there is no difference. I'm just going to tell you about the factual proposition and let the viewers decide that is it a different position or not. So see, 6th round of RCEP was held at Hyderabad, and it was in 2014 by the Narendra Modi government. And now the 19th round of RCEP was held and celebrated by the Modi government in Hyderabad. Sorry, the first one, the 6th round was in New Delhi, and the 19th round was in Hyderabad between 24th through 28th July. So they were celebrating it when they wanted to. Since 5.5 years during their sarkar, they had extensively been part of all the meetings at Singapore, at Indonesia, at Bangkok, everywhere. In 2019 November, they decided that it's a policy decision. We should not go by the RCEP. But before that, they were always with the RCEP, and they have negotiated the deals for India, and they have celebrated it. And not only celebrated it,
Mr. Ratan Sharda wants to reply to you.
RCEP.
Okay, Mr. Ratan Sharda, go ahead, sir.
I have a very important point to make, which will shake your database and all these stories. Frederick Newman's foundation was funding the Forum of Democratic Leaders of Asia Pacific. They also funded Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, or Manmohan Singh was a part of that foundation. And for this, Sonia Gandhi was made vice president of this particular association. And this association supported secession of Jammu Kashmir into an independent unit. This is a 2012 article by Sandhya Jain. In 2012, this particular body was advocating separation of Jammu Kashmir and unity of Pakistan and Indian Jammu Kashmir into an independent country. So you take money from...
so look at that, sir. Look at that for a betrayal. Look at that for trusting someone who doesn't really deserve your trust. Gentlemen, I'm completely running out of time here. Thank you very much to all of you for joining me on this debate. This is certainly going to be our big story all through the day right here on the network. Stay with us and keep watching Times Now.